largest city in the state of Texas is turning it on for the IZOD IndyCar Series as we welcome you to race one of this two-race weekend, the last doubleheader. It is the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston from Reliant Park, here in the shadows of Reliant Stadium and the Reliant Astrodome, two colossal constructions, and it is quite the place to be. We have to say it is extremely hot and extremely humid. This is going to be a tough day's work for the competitors in the IZOD IndyCar Series. It's not really hard work if you're Morris Feigl, though, from Edmond, Oklahoma. Morris is sitting behind Ari Lyondike. How's the ride there, Morris?
Absolutely great.
Tell us about the temperature, because this is what you're feeling, what the competitors are about to feel in that fire suit and your helmet.
I couldn't imagine going the whole time.
Yeah, 90 laps is what they have to do, Morris. We're going to leave you alone. Congratulations, and you can be like Morris. You can get in on Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes by logging on to shophonda.com, and you can take a ride in the IZOD two-seater with either Ari Lyondike or Mario Andretti, just like Morris Feigl from Edmond, Oklahoma is right now. Cars rolling, cars on track. Let's show you who is starting where. And for the third time in his career, Takuma Sato starts on the pole. As I said before, there was no Firestone Fast 6. There were two separate groups. Sato was quickest in Group 2. Will Power was the quickest from Group 1. Let's roll through to the second row.
Yeah, Scott Dixon, the man who's got a lot of points to make up, but he's in a good position to do it. And another guy that still thinks he's got a really good shot at this championship, sitting in outside row 2.
Yeah, that's the
Pagenaud.
Second race meeting in a row that Pagenaud started on the second row. How about Simona Di Silvestro? That is her best start since the season opening race on the streets of St. Petersburg. And James Hinchcliffe, who was one of the drivers in the middle of all the silly season rumours and talk, he starts right alongside. Luca Filippi is back. The Italian rookie has done an outstanding job. So too James Jakes, one of his best qualifiers of the year. He starts on row 5 alongside Marco Andretti.
Conway back in the car for Dale Coyne Racing, and Justin Wilson, who showed a lot of speed here in practice. He could be a factor before this thing's over.
As we roll back through the grid, if you weren't with us earlier on for IndyCar Live presented by Verizon, you have to keep going back through this field until you find Elio Castroneves. He's all the way back in 21st position. How is he going to pull this one off, Wally?
Yeah, this is where you really have to prevent the wheels from falling off right here. He's leading the championship. He did not get a qualifying running once. He's back in a lot of traffic. He's going to have to be very, very careful. Well, on the other hand, Dixon, he's just going to be on attack mode.
Elio is with the majority, and that is the majority of this field have not competed here on the streets of Reliant Park before. There are only 6 who have. It's time to take a closer look at this track. Wally talks us through the finer points. 1.7
miles. I really like the way this track is set up. There's a lot of good passing zones because this track is so wide. Turn 2 is a good one. Turn 6 and turn 9. I think we're going to see a lot of guys dive bombing for positions in these corners.
It's not that long, but it is bumpy and it is challenging. Time to check in with the guys on the ground. Let's start with Marty.
Well, Lee, I just checked in with A.J. Foyt. He told me he was, quote, tickled that his car is on the pole this afternoon. And, in fact, Larry Foyt, being their hometown race, told their guys, you need to realize this is almost as important to us as the Indy 500. This is an absolutely huge race for us. And, of course, besides all of that, we have a standing start this afternoon. Will Power on the front row with Sato told me Sato was one of the best in the world at standing starts. Jan?
And when you look at Scott Dixon coming into the frame now, Scott Dixon, they call him the Iceman, and that has been very evident this weekend. Anytime he's been in pit lane or in that race car, one level higher of focus. He is very focused, knows a lot of points are on the line.
Well, we're talking about standing starts. Takuma Sato does not only race in this series, he also races in Super Formula, which is the former Formula Nippon. They have standing starts, and at the last race he competed in, he stalled it on the line. The pole sitter will not want that to happen again. This is race 17 of the 19-race schedule, and for the second time this year, we see standing starts. Kimball is in trouble. We're about to go into aborted start mode. And we saw this at Toronto in race 1 there.
Roll out forward, please. Beat the pace car in turn 2.
they will come back around and make a second attempt at this. You remember at Toronto, they just waved it off and said, we're just going to go with a rolling start, and it got pushed back to Sunday. However, we will have a second shot at this. Robin Miller joins Wally and myself in the booth. Robin, what are your thoughts on these standing starts for the series? You like them?
I like them, Lee, because when Tony Kottman tried them in Champ Car a few years ago, they did them at Cleveland, Toronto, Portland, all these places that were tough because of the first turn. It spaced the cars. They were going 30 miles an hour slower into the first corner, and they didn't have any big pileups.
You're looking at the Mid-Ohio race winner, Charlie Kimball, from the Ganassi team in the Novo Nordisk car, and he gets fired and sent. So he will rejoin the pack and have a second shot at the standing start. Let's check in with Kevin Lee. Kevin?
Marco Andretti, keep an eye on him. He is still in the championship hunt. Even though he's 71 points back, fourth, he's still someone, especially when you deal with these concrete walls in a doubleheader street course race. Don't count him out. This has been his best season in IndyCar, but for Marco, he still wants a lot more. He doesn't have a win yet this season, so that's first and foremost on his mind before he really starts digging deep into his championship possibilities.
He was leading late in the race in Baltimore, and he just tagged his teammate EJ Vizo to knock off some of the front wing, which had major handling implications on his car. I said to him yesterday, tell us about those closing laps at Baltimore. He said, they were some of the scariest of my life.
It was good racing to watch, I'll tell you.
It certainly was. We had an aborted start. We're going to try again. The reason why Charlie Kimball experienced trouble on the grid. Jan, tell us more. Tell us why.
The team just said that they could not disengage the clutch. So obviously when you come to a stop, you've got to be able to disengage the clutch to select neutral and then get ready to go. So he will now, by the regulations, be moved to the back of the field because he caused that aborted start, but still no word on whether he will disengage the second time.
Was due to start in 16th position, but as Jan highlighted there, will get shoved back to the back of the pack. Charlie raced in Europe. He's done a lot of standing starts in his career. So it's a Takuma Sato willpower front row. On the second row, two guys who are really in this championship chase, Scott Dixon and Simon Pagenaud. Look to the back of the grid. All cars are in position is the call. Looking good. The Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston. And they're holding him for a long time. Now we see green and we're going to stall. That's Hinchcliffe.
Oh, wow.
Wow. And contact Ed Carpenter tags Hinchcliffe.
And that, you know what? That's really, really tough when you start back there in the back and you're going, and when the field opens up, it's almost too late to avoid a car like that. It's a tough situation.
And these competitors at the front have already got the call, and they will see that we're going to slow down again due to that. And Tristan Vautier did a very good job to avoid Hinchcliffe. So many other drivers did as well, and unfortunately, Ed Carpenter was the unlucky one right at the end to tag the stranded James Hinchcliffe. And we've got 3 replays for you coming up. Let's take a look.
It looks like he just started to take off and stalled the car. A couple guys just squeezed through.
Yeah, from a different angle here.
He would have to make aggressive moves to get around Hinchcliffe, and he banked the wall with the right rear tire. You see it right here. He moves out.
And
who was it? That was really close.
Vautier was the closest, and then obviously Carpenter came through. Let's show you from up above.
The only thing I don't understand here, Robin, is he's sure somebody had enough time to tell him on the radio that there was a dead car on the racetrack.
Well, and you're not, look how slow you're going. If these cars don't accelerate like Formula One cars do, Wally, that's a good point.
And unfortunately, James Hinchcliffe was in a very similar situation last year on the streets of Service Paradise in the V8 supercar race, where he stalled when driving for Gary Rogers Motorsport. And his teammate then, Ricky Taylor, came through from the back of the pack, and there was a huge collision, one of the biggest ever seen in V8 supercars on the Gold Coast. So, tough break for James Hinchcliffe here in race 1 of this doubleheader weekend in Houston. We'll be back.
spent 45 years in IndyCar racing. I've been a mechanic, a car builder, an engineer, a team manager, and now a team owner. I'm truly living the dream. It all started at Lincoln Tech. Lincoln Tech is a national leader in training for careers that build America.
He ignored the naysayers and never compromised. When Thomas Edison threw the switch, it changed everything. Engineering without compromise. This is the Mazda way. And this is the Mazda CX-5. Skyactiv technology makes it lighter yet stronger, earning a top safety pick. And more fuel efficient than any hybrid SUV. This is the uncompromised Mazda CX-5. What do you drive?
Give me your street circuits, your ovals. Give me your road courses and your cathedrals of speed. Give me drivers who live to put it all on the line and cars unlike any other. Because this is America, and here we race IndyCar.
In 2 weeks on the NBC Sports Network.
Watching NBC-SN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Shell, a proud sponsor of the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston. As we welcome you back to the Reliant Park circuit, we need to just remind you that at 10 Eastern, the push for the MLS Cup playoffs is on NBC-SN, a Western Conference showdown between Colorado and Seattle. All rise for Major League Soccer tonight at 10 Eastern. For those of you just turning on, welcome to our live coverage here from Houston. And we had an aborted start, standing starts for the second time this year. We had an aborted start after Charlie Kimball got in trouble with his clutch. We then went for a second attempt, and unfortunately, James Hinchcliffe stalled. This is our championship leader, Helio Castro-Neves. And why are we showing you him? We're going to take you back just a few moments ago and give you his point of view on that second standing start and the crash involving Ed Carpenter and James Hinchcliffe. This is what it looked like for Helio. Look to the right-hand side, you'll see the stalled car. Close call for Franchitti as well. And there they go over that much talked about bump, which was ground down overnight. Some 12 hours they worked to try and reduce that hump in the road. And while James Hinchcliffe makes his way back to the pits, our Marty Snyder is right there.
I'm trying, Diff. I think we're
Marty
after someone here, and I don't know who we're after. I've asked him to talk, and we'll see what's going on. Back with more in a moment.
Okay, yeah, as you can imagine, he does not look pleased. The body language says it all. The three-time winner this year, he's enjoyed some amazing moments in the 2013 season, but he's also had to endure some pretty low moments.
Well, think about this, Lee. I mean, if he's not with Andretti next year, he's going to have 2 more starts with him. They want to try and keep him. Jimmy Vasser wants him to come drive for him and take Tony Kanaan's place. So at least he maybe has 2 options, but obviously not how he wants to finish this weekend.
Yeah.
What an awful couple of weeks it's been for the Fuzzies Vodka team for Ed Carpenter. Not only are they knocked out here early, they are, by the way, taking the car back to the garage. These are the crew guys still out here on pit road, but the car and the rest of the crew is going back to the garage area, and they're going to try to get back out. So we take a look at Charlie Kimball coming in down low. But they also had a transporter fire on the way back from the test at Fontana that nearly destroyed their Indy 500 pole car. They did recover that, but it's been a really rough and expensive couple of weeks for the Fuzzies crew. So we see Ed jogging back to pit road. Marty?
Yeah, I wish Hinch would stop jogging. I can't keep up with him. So I thought you were after someone. Were you just blowing off some steam or what?
Yeah, I mean, not thrilled about that. I really have to pee. I hydrated for 90 laps.
That's a good point. When you gotta go, right?
I mean, I hydrated for a 90-lap race in 90-degree weather, and that didn't really work out for us. And just, man, I'm furious. I know what happened. I don't want to talk about what happened. All the matter.
Mad at your team?
I'm mad. I'm mad we're out of the race. It's just it's really unfortunate. We had a good starting spot outside of the third row, and the pink goat Eddie car I think was going to be quick over the distance. These guys are always good in stops and good on strategy, and it just sucks that we don't get the chance to try and put that pink car in victory lane, because I think we had a strong one.
You say you know what happened. What did happen?
I don't want to get into it here. It's just, it's just one of those things, man. The bad news is I don't get to just leave and put this one behind me. The good news is we get a chance to do it again tomorrow. So,
is your frustration with yourself or the team?
It's all over the place. I'm just frustrated.
And I'm in the right rear right now.
It's like I say, it's an unfortunate situation. I feel bad for the guys for sure. We've had troubles all weekend with something electrical on the car, and then we finally got it sorted for qualifying. Did what I think was a pretty good job in qualifying to get the GoDaddy car up there, and we were ready, man. It was go time, and we didn't go. So we'll regroup. We'll get in tomorrow. I'll come down. It's tough, man. It's tough to come all this way, work this hard, especially the kind of weekend that we've all had here in the series, and to not be able to go and put on a show for the fans here, for GoDaddy, and for the finish I know my guys deserved.
We thank you for your time. We appreciate that. We saw the car heading back to the paddock. It is a short day for James Hinchcliffe, but we'll see him tomorrow. Plenty still to come as we continue racing from Houston on a very hot, humid day.
I think the combination between myself and the Team Penske is working in all aspects, inside the race car or inside the track, but also outside the racetrack. And honestly, for me, it's great because the highest point of my career and some of the wins that I had and the lowest time of my career, Roger and Team Penske were right there, supporting me, and we can't top that. For me, it's just a big family right now. We're really working together, and hopefully I can get that championship that I'm really chasing for a long time.
The ageless Brazilian, that is Helio Castro Neves, 38 years old, but he still seems like a kid. He wants to be a champion. No shortage of drama here as our race leader, our pole sitter, Takuma Sato is in. Jan, what's going on?
That is correct. You just heard the radio transmission you never want to hear. That's your right rear tire is going down. He had lost 6 pounds of pressure. So he will drop to the back of the order. When you have a right rear that's going down, and the team confirms it was not telemetry malfunction, this tire is in fact down. It's under yellow, but boy, he loses all that track position after getting the pole.
Slots back in behind, in front of Sebastian Bourdais, so he's down in the teens. We need to circle back around and pick up a story that you would have seen while we were...
whole race left, and listen, we got to get into survival mode. We kind of know what's going to happen today. There's going to be some carnage.
Just listening to that radio transmission. We're going to circle back around and fill you in on what was going on with Tristan Vautier. Remember, he was one of the ones who did an amazing job to swerve and miss the stranded James Hinchcliffe. However, he did clout the wall heavily on the right rear, and that has put paid to his chances in this race today. And that was his second big collision with the wall. Remember earlier we showed you in those qualifying highlights, he smashed the turn 10 wall very hard. That was his backup car. That one damaged as well. It's been a costly day.
Yeah, it really has. Looks like he probably broke a half shaft or something. Thought he got away with it, but afterwards when we were looking at the wall, there's a pretty big wheel print or tire print on the wall, so he did hit it hard enough to break.
So at the front of the field, the two guys who clashed on the streets of Baltimore. When Will Power thought he had a run to go for the lead in turn 1 and just chopped Scott Dixon out and just drove him into the wall unintentionally, but that was just another dent in Scott Dixon's championship chase. The man behind him in the race and in the championship, Simon Pagenaud, runs third. 3 incredibly fast drivers at the front of this pack. We just want to get some laps going.
Yeah, no kidding. I think these guys are ready for it as well.
Good crowd on hand here in Houston on a very hot and humid day.
Yep. AJ's using his old sprint car tricks right there, boys. There's the leak. Let's get a patch.
Robin, we had your opening part of the two-part series sit down with AJ. I know that you've known him for such a long time. You call him a friend. Does it please you a great deal, I imagine, to see him at the track?
Well, I think he's been through everything he's been through. Come on, Lee. He's been burned, attacked by killer bees and ants and everything. And there's, of course, Kimball's having all kinds of problems. Now he's going again. But AJ just, I mean, come on. Did you stay introduced him to the crowd here and they all cheered? I mean, everybody knows who AJ Foyt, Mario Andretti, Parnelli Jones, that's the name that resonates for generations. And I think what's great about AJ is all the health problems he's had. He said in our interview, I said, you look like you've lost 30 pounds. He says, I need to lose 50 more. So he understands it's tough on his feet to carry that weight around, but he's trying a little bit. He's off of Bluebell ice cream 3 times a day, Lee.
This is his driver in the ABC supply car, Takuma Sato, was on the pole, led for the first time since he led in Milwaukee. And he, after having that punctured tyre, he now rejoins. He's in 12th position behind Canaan, ahead of Bourdais. And we're looking good for a start. Will Power at the front of this field in the Verizon Chevrolet comes through this sweeping turn 10 onto the front stretch. Let's go racing in Houston. Simona Di Silvestro in a very strong position ahead of the Italian Luca Filippi.
Easy for you to say, Lee.
Yeah. The very tricky turn 2 complex. It's been catching a number of drivers out this weekend. Pagano, there's Simona, there's Filippi, Mike Conway ahead of his coin teammate, Joseph Newgarden trying to make a move. Franchitti, after that 10 grid spot penalty for an engine change, is mired in the pack, and so too is our points leader, Castro Neves.
It's a really fast section of the racetrack. They just fly through this right-hander. Vito's taking a look. Looks like he's going to pull it off. Nice move. Nice move on Luca Filippi there from EJ Viso. James Jakes is well placed. He has that silver and purple car. Oh, wow, that's Wilson. Oh, that was Conway, rather, all out of shape. Nice save, though. I'll tell you what, he had that thing going. And that's the thing about this racetrack that I love. It's so wide. You can make those passes, or you can at least present yourself so another driver can see that you're coming. Conway did a nice job saving that. Look at the 2 coin drivers. Justin Wilson chasing Mike Conway. Remember, Mike won at the first doubleheader this year on the streets of Belle Isle, Detroit. It is frantic mid-pack, isn't it? Wilson on the inside. Sato goes over that curb, trying to get on the inside of Tony Kanaan. That's a tough place to try to outbrake somebody on that corner. Sebastian Bourdais was another one who got pushed back after an engine change, so he slid down the order after qualifying in the top 10, did really well. This is Tony Kanaan. 3 more races with KV Racing Technologies before he becomes a Ganassi driver. Up front, Scott Dixon has reeled in Will Power. Power got a great start at the restart, was able to skip away a little bit, but there's nothing between the Penske and Ganassi guys. Scott is, well, both these guys are very strong on these type of racetracks, but like I said earlier, I mean, you know, Dixon knows what he's got to do. He's got to get maximum points here. He knows that the 3 cars back in traffic right now, so he's going. And how refreshing is it to see Simona Di Silvestro running up in the top 5? There she is, right there in 4th spot, doing a nice job, just ahead of EJ Viso. Spread out, in fact, in the top 5 as they work into a rhythm. Let's check in with Jan.
Graham Rahal has decided to come in. It's not a problem with the car. They decided they want to go off strategy. They want to be one of the first cars to stop. Graham Rahal has not had a good weekend, and they're hoping that maybe by pitting now, this will play later if there's a lot of caution, and that's what you do when your weekend's not going your way.
Marco, was that Marco? Marco made a nice pass there.
Yet to win.
And there comes James Jakes, dive bombing in there.
Hard to believe, isn't it, that Marco Andretti is still in this championship chase and has not won a race this year. There have been a couple of occasions where he should have, but it's just eluded him. This could be his day on the streets of Houston. He's been making up positions. He's doing a nice job. He's made up 2 since the restart. He's made up 4 from the initial start.
Well, Wilson's car looks awfully strong. He's going to take a look underneath. Justin Wilson has been very fast this weekend. We've got Conway right there.
Yeah, while he was fastest in practice on Friday yesterday, and he was a little disappointed with qualifying today, he said our car is so good on the long runs, it just takes a while to come in. And in their session, they really only had 1 lap because there was an accident in that first session of qualifying today. He said on the long runs, we'll be terrific. We have a top 5 car. I promise I'm going to be aggressive getting there, and looks like he's doing that right now, doesn't he?
Certainly does. James Jakes coming from way back on Filippi. Squeezes alongside, but Luca will not allow it to happen. Driving that Barracuda Racing, the Brian Herter Autosport car, the blue and orange machine at the front of that pack.
That was good driving. Those guys left just enough room for each other to get through there side by side.
Talking about the fight for 7th. You ride with James Jakes in 8th at the moment. The Dale Coyne Racing teammates are having a good scrap. The two Englishmen, there they are, Justin Wilson and Mike Conway. Let's show you how close that move was. On board with James Jakes, straddling the curb.
Yeah, and Jakes did a good job, like I said, staying off of that car. Made a little bit of contact, but it's like 3 cars in, Jan.
Elio Castro Neves, the points leader, is doing something very similar to what we saw for Graham Rahal. He comes in and makes that change of tires, goes to the red sidewall Firestone, again, hoping to be early in case there's a lot of caution to play pit strategy.
Lap 13 will log that one away for Elio Castro Neves after starting 21st. Working a little different strategy. He comes out ahead of Graham Rahal, you saw in the background. James Jakes has finally got that position away from Luca Filippi. And Wilson thought about it as well.
I think if Wilson can get clear, I think he's going to go. But I tell you what, he can't make a mistake because you see Conway's teammate was right there taking a look. All these guys, look at all these cars stacked up. One guy makes a little bit of a mistake, he's going to lose a lot of spots.
And look how quick Jakes has pulled away. I think Luca might be holding these boys up.
There's half a second at the front in between race leader Will Power and Scott Dixon. Simon Pagenaud is still third, Simona Di Silvestro fourth, and EJ Viso fifth.
And I think you're right, Robin. I think this is Wilson probably losing a little bit of patience right now, and he's going to have to force the issue here because I believe you're right. He is holding these guys up a lot.
We first saw Luca Filippi drive for Brian Herter at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course earlier this year, and he and JR Hildebrand are tag teaming the final races in this season. He'll do this one, inside move. Look at this. This is nice work from Justin Wilson. And Sebastian Bourdais. Wow, Bourdais on Canaan. That was a decisive move.
And that's what Justin needed to do. He had to force the issue, and he got the pass. Now I bet you see just Wilson drive away now.
Justin Wilson is one of those guys, one of the 6 competitors who have raced here on the Reliant Park street course before, back in the Champ Car days. Newgarden looking at something. Franchitti is in. Dario Franchitti is in. So we've seen Rahal, Castro Neves, and now the first of the Ganassi threesome in.
4, 3.
Dario Franchitti comes in early. I talked with Barry Wanzer, helps on strategy with this team. He said it's always fluid, but we're ultimately going to try to come in as soon as we can. He goes to red stickers, but you have to be very cognizant of where you're going to come back out on track. You can't go down a lap, and you can't come out stuck in the middle of a pack.
Dario did well in qualifying, but again, to revisit that story, he had an unapproved engine change and dropped 10 positions. So can he get out ahead of Elio Castro Neves? No, is the call there, and Rahal will be doing his best to try and get by Dario. Nothing's changed up front. It's still Power over Dixon, around about that half a second margin. The Penske car over the Ganassi machine. Boy, this could be a big points haul weekend for Scott Dixon. He's going to need to repeat what he did in Toronto.
It's on his way doing it right now. Oh, wow, look at that. That's a really hard corner. These guys are just threading the needles through there.
I want to take you back just a few minutes ago, the restart and some radio transmissions with our front runners. Let's listen.
Obviously didn't review the start that well because the 12 car also launched before, like it jerked quite a bit.
We could clearly see that, but we saw exactly what you were talking about. You know, Dixon's complaining about your start. He's complaining you chopped him. It's pretty much the same old story. Jump, said it, I jumped it. Wouldn't worry about it. It's kind of the same old thing.
Ah, the rivalry goes on, not only between Dixon and Power, but Ganassi and Penske. First and second, that's what it looks like. After a very scrappy couple of starts, we're up into a good rhythm and a good pace right now. Pagenaud in that blue and white and black car, the HP machine for Schmidt Hamilton Motorsports runs third. And then Simona Di Silvestro, the lead KV Racing Technology cars. The Swiss driver doing well, backing up her top 5 result on the streets of Baltimore a month ago. She started the season in a very strong manner, and it's good to see her finishing it in the same way. Will she be at KV Racing next year? That's another one of the silly season rumors that are going around. There's so many seats in the IZOD IndyCar Series yet to be determined. Running in fourth and has been there for the majority of the race. Can she put the KV Racing machine on the podium here in Houston? She's got 2 shots at doing it and is a strong possibility.
Inside yours. Keep pushing here, bud. That's turn 4, spotter. Turn 4's clear.
Streaming 4-in-1 Mosaic.
Inside. One push to fast left. Be smart here.
Live pit crew chatter. Riding shotgun from green flag to checkered. That's powerful. Download IndyCar 13 now, only from Verizon.
Your car. It's been your wingman, dining room, and best friend. Baby maker, and baby soother. At Pennzoil, we know it doesn't matter what you do in your car, it only matters what you put in it. That's why Pennzoil is designed to give you unsurpassed engine protection, so you can protect your car and the memories made in it. Save 50 cents per gallon on Shell fuel with a 5-quart purchase of Pennzoil Synthetics. Make it a Pennzoil change.
Legendary durability, impressive mileage, Firestone tires. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
When it comes to doing what you love, more is better. That's why we designed the all-new Nissan Versa Note, with more technology to get you into and out of tight spots, and more space so that you always have your favorite stuff. And just for good measure, an incredibly efficient 40 mpg highway, so that when you're doing more, you're spending less. The all-new Nissan Versa Note, your door to more. Now get a $139 per month lease on a 2014 Nissan Versa Note.
All the memories, all the mayhem, all the adventures have led to this.
Quick, give me some sugar.
Bring home the epic finale of the Hangover trilogy.
This is the best day of my life!
The Hangover Part 3, owned a Blu-ray or digital HD.
The Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston continues live here on NBCSN as we welcome you back to our continuing coverage, and it is getting hot at the front. Dixon was as close as he's been in this race to Will Power for the lead of this motor race and is really starting to push the issue.
Yeah, he had a little bit of an opportunity. He was right on the back of Power, and there was a caution out, a local caution, and we couldn't make the move there. But as you can see, and there's Canan in trouble.
Tony Kanaan, the Indy 500 winner, the man who's created headlines this weekend. It was announced officially yesterday that he's headed to Chip Ganassi Racing next year, leaving KV Racing Technology.
Keeps it running, there'll be no caution.
So over on the back part of the circuit, here comes the top 2, yep, so he goes down a lap. Meanwhile, his teammate, Simona Di Silvestro, maintains a very strong 4th place. However, these 2 guys here have a massive margin. They've got 5 seconds over the 3rd place Simon Pagenaud.
Not so sure Canan doesn't have some issues. I think he's headed to pit lane right now.
You'll notice the guys, the competitors, when they come down under the Pennzoil Bridge there, which is officially turn 1, it's that left-hand sweeper, you'll see them really aggressively swerve to the left-hand side of the track. That is to avoid the huge bump that was ground down. Canan shaking his head. The Hydroxy Cup machine is in trouble. I'll show you what happened to TK.
You can hear, there she goes. Yeah, something looks like something gave up in the engine.
Brakes. He lost the brakes, guys. The brake temperatures went through the roof.
That was the view from Oriol Servia's National Guard Panther machine of Tony Kanaan exiting the race. Tell us more, Kev.
That's it, the brakes, and they've shut the car off at this point. They're trying to figure out if it can be salvaged, but it certainly doesn't look good at this point. It's been a good weekend, but a bad weekend for Tony Kanaan.
If you're just joining us, while it is a frantic and cracking pace at the front, the attrition rate is equally as high. James Hinchcliffe stalled on the 2nd standing start and got clouded by Ed Carpenter. Instantly, both of those guys were out as a result of taking evasive action as Hunter Ray comes into the pits. Tristan Vautier slammed the wall. He's out of the race, and Tony Kanaan may be our 4th retirement in just 22 laps. Here's Hunter Ray.
And Ryan Hunter-Reay has been struggling all weekend. Says that his car feels like it's staying on top of the bumps. They've been changing the car to try to get mechanical grip. Now he needs a quick pit stop, and that was just under 8 seconds. Hoping that some of these changes will bring some of the speed back to the DHL machine.
One thing we haven't explained yet this weekend, you'll see all of the Andretti Autosport cars running pink.
Go hard.
Pink wall tyres as Hunter-Reay scrambles to try and beat Dario Franchitti down to that Turn 2 complex. It's all about Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough to beat. When you come out on cold tires like that, and you're trying to keep a guy behind you that has a lot of heat in the tires. Dario does a nice job getting by him, and Ryan did everything he could. Ryan Hunter-Reay did everything he could. And,
Major issues for our points leader. This is his second visit to pit lane.
You can't shift it at all?
Oh, no.
Okay, we'll change the cluster.
This is huge.
Okay, we're going to change the cluster.
Not only was there mega frustration after not qualifying well, now some mechanical issues are plaguing the captain's championship leader. And Elio can't believe it.
How many times has this happened to him? As far as being in a position to win the championship, going into the end of the season, and things going wrong. Jan?
You may have heard on the radio, we will change the cluster. That, of course, is the whole gear stack itself. So they have to pull the back of the gearbox off. This is going to be a long stop for Castroneves.
And it's really not surprising, as rough as this racetrack is.
Don't shoot.
It's extremely hard on the driveline and the gearbox because this place is so bumpy. You got heavy loads on the fast part of these racetracks, which is bumpy. So, yeah.
Look at the points.
Yeah.
And one thing changes dramatically. This man here, one of his claims to fame this year is that he was the only driver in this championship to complete 100% of the laps. That has now changed. Wilson is in.
Lee, you can't quite see it, but the left rear for Justin Wilson completely flat when they came to pit road. You guys just talking about how rough this racetrack is. Chalk that up as the second tire to go down today. A lot of debris out on the racetrack as well. They did cut the left rear. Justin said, I've been sliding around everywhere. You see where he tries to cycle out. They did determine flat left rear, brought him in a little bit early.
So second tyre issue we've seen as far as going down. Takuma Sato was the other one. Let's check in with Sato. Where is he? He's running in 13th place after being forced to pit under yellow earlier in this race after putting it on pole and leading the early laps. This is the frantic activity at the Shell Pennzoil camp for Team Penske and Elio Castroneves.
And really, they're going to make this change. Obviously, they're going to lose a ton of laps on this thing, and all they can hope for is to go back out and have other cars drop out to make that up a few points. But, boy, they're going to be, I got to figure they're going to be 8, 9, 10 laps down.
And that's something they avoided all season. They haven't had anything happen to them, and that's how you win championships.
Wow. This is for third place.
Very strong.
Oh, that was a good one on Simon Pagenaud.
Good job.
And gets encouragement from Gerald Tyler, her race engineer, a man who has seen it all in motorsport. So if you talk about points and you take a look down the order with that attrition rate that I was talking about earlier, as Serbia goes through on the inside of Marco Andretti, the worst that Castroneves can finish is 20th. He would get 10 points in this race. That's the worst he can do, because he's completed more laps than Canaan, Vautier, Carpenter, and Hinchcliffe. We'll continue to watch that. Let's take you back and show you a really slick, decisive pass.
Yeah, this is textbook right here. She had a good run on Pagenaud. She went in a little bit deeper, which outbraking Pagenaud is not a simple feat. She did a really good job keeping the car under control. It's beautiful. It's like St. Pete. She had the run she had St. Pete. Kevin.
Marco Andretti started 10th. He's been running consistently in the top 10. He was cautiously optimistic going into this race. A little bit longer on the stop as he runs it, but he's away. He said the car is comfortable, but that's not always fast. Marty?
Well, Kevin, this is the left rear tire that came off of Justin Wilson's car. And you can see the absolute slice through here and through there where the left rear tire was really cut for Justin Wilson. And it happened right before he came to pit road. Very fortunate timing for Justin Wilson. Running in the top 10, they were able to get that left rear off. But again, as you guys mentioned, second tire issue we've had today with it being cut on the racetrack.
Marty, is there contact? Did he make contact? Is there anything on the wheel?
I was told it was a cut from something on the racetrack. There was not contact that created that.
Yeah, because
I'll double check on that. That's what I was told.
Yeah, it's just an interesting spot on the tire for it to be cut. But yeah.
And this is Marco Andretti, who is sandwiched between race leader Will Power and the second place Scott Dixon. And we need to update you that Pagano, after losing that third spot to Simona Di Silvestro, has pitted. He's been serviced and sent. And this is a little frustrating here for Scott Dixon. He'll be wanting to clear Marco Andretti because he's seeing Will Power skip away.
Yeah, exactly. And Power caught it right. He got past Marco. This is perfect for Power if you can get somebody hung up behind you, and that's what's happened to Scott. But, well, I tell you what, these strategies and pit stops are all over the map. I hope you keep track of this, Debbie.
Yeah, we got it. We've got our finger on it. We are racing lap 29, so we're almost at third race distance of this first of two 90-lappers in this doubleheader weekend here in Houston. And after being on the tail, being on his gearbox, Scott Dixon is now almost 2 seconds in arrears of Will Power. Power is escaping.
Lessons. Every racetrack is full of them. Each turn a pop quiz. High or low. Give or go. Today's lesson is the edge. At 200 miles per hour. Class begins.
And the Acorn Stairlifts team is going to have to make a pit stop. We'll have to make this a quick one to stay in his current position.
Yep, the car is up, and it looks like it'll be 4 tires and fuel. Hold on, where's the driver going? This is a bit of a surprise, folks. He seems to have disappeared.
What must the poor pit crew be thinking?
I know what I'd be thinking. Whatever he's doing, it better not take long.
In all my years of broadcasting, I have never seen anything like this. All right, he's back.
And none too soon, I tell you. Acorn Stairlifts. Installed in no time flat.
I hate watching with Ramsey. All he does is yell. They can't hear you, Ramsey. But every time he's come over this year, we've won. And he always brings Bud Light. Little dog won't come out from under the couch. But we're winning. I love you, Ramsey.
Bud Light, for the fans who do whatever it takes.
Wednesday Night Rivalry, Blackhawks, Blues, Wednesday at 7 Eastern on the NBC Sports Network.
For those of you just joining us for the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston, massive news, massive championship implications for Helio Castro-Neves, the man who completed 100% of the laps this year, the man who boasted a 49-point championship lead, has been sitting stationary for 7 laps.
And you talk about that number of laps, I can tell you the time on pit road is now 7 minutes and 49 seconds as they're getting ready to fire and fuel this car up. Now, of course, he lost all those laps on the racetrack, but wow, hats off to the Penske crew. That was a very quick gear stack change. That was some of the best mechanical work you'll see.
And you've heard us say it time and time again, it's worth doing that because every point in a championship counts. How many times have we seen championships decided by a solitary point? That's why it's worth digging deep. And after that gearbox issue has been rectified, Castro-Neves is on his way.
Clear, clear, clear.
So now he's just got to basically just drive and hope that some other people have some problems ahead of him.
Been a good day for EJ Viso and his Citco-sponsored car, who have a big headquarters here in Houston. It's a massive weekend for him. He was as high as 4th on the pit stop cycle after Simon Pagenaud came in. Back at the front, though, this is where the action is. These guys have been going at it hard right from the start. Will Power, Scott Dixon, Team Penske, Target Chip Ganassi Racing. For Will Power, mathematically, yes, he still could win the championship. However, it's a long shot. For this man here, he is really in the championship hunt now for his 3rd title after those problems to Helio Castro-Neves.
Now, getting up to pit stops here, I'm not sure what you would do, Robin. I think if I was in Dixon's spot, I'd probably try to pit a lap earlier. But it's going to be interesting to see if they pull them in at the same time.
Because of traffic, Wally?
Yeah.
They're in a league of their own, Robin and Wally. How much so? They are 8.5 seconds, actually more, 10 seconds ahead of the 3rd place Simona Di Silvestro.
See, you got Saveja there right now, and it's going to hold up power here a little bit. If it was close to the window, boy, if I was Dixon, I'd hit pit lane.
Oriol Serbia serviced and sent. Marty?
Well, guys, the game within the game. Will Power asked Tim Cindric, can I run a different fuel number? In other words, can I go a little bit quicker? Tim Cindric said, no, you need to save the fuel right now. And the game for Will Power is you've got to save fuel, be faster than Scott Dixon and keep him behind you. And oh, by the way, go 1 lap further than him if you can when everybody comes to the pit stall. Scott Dixon just radioed to Mike Hall, said the car is starting to go away really bad. These guys should pit any moment now, but a cat and mouse game going on right now between Will Power and Scott Dixon.
Well, Power's doing a pretty good job, Marty, hitting his number and doing all those things that they're asking him to do. Obviously, he's very, very fast, and, if he is trying to get to that number, but...
And if Scott Dixon's car is going away, he's doing a pretty good job of keeping up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now racing lap 34 of this 90-lapper. They're in the window to make it a 2-stop race. Fairly straightforward. It's been a cracking pace at the front, and they continue to skip away from Simona Di Silvestro.
And I thought they were going to be on top of Saveja, but you know what? Saveja's holding his own right there. Here's the best-looking Indy car I've seen in a long time, bro.
And it was painted by Sarah Fisher's family. They have a paint shop. That's not a decal, it's a paint shop.
Greg Energy car, Joseph Newgarden. It looks great.
James Jakes has just pitted as well. He has had a solid run today. Down into turn 2. Wow. Wilson and Serbia. And Oriol had to take evasive action there.
And it's nice they had that option, or there would have been a wreck there. If you make the pass there and take that inside, you just have to get the spot back. So that's what they really
you got push to pass if you need it.
Well, he's going to use it.
Top 5 cars in this race yet to pit. That means it's Power,
Conway?
Dixon, Conway on his teammate. Power, Dixon, Di Silvestro, Filippi, and Bourdais are yet to pit.
Almost looked like Wilson had to lift there a little bit, and it was enough for Conway to have a run on him.
Both these guys have the same story, and these guys, I mean Mike Conway, Justin Wilson. Not only are they both British, but they've both been intermixing and blending sports car racing with their IndyCar racing, and they are thoroughly enjoying both disciplines. It's just time being about time in the car, right, Wally? Whenever you're driving.
Seat time is, it doesn't matter what you're in, seat time is everything.
Mike's coming off a couple of victories in the World Endurance Championship in the LMP2 class. He could mathematically win that World Endurance Championship if everything goes he and his teammates' way later this year.
Conway's a little bit quicker than Serbia. Serbia doing a good job, holding his own. But that first 2 or 3 corners, obviously Conway was quicker.
These guys are down in 18th and 19th place at the moment on that pit stop cycle. Still at the front, there's nothing between Power and Dixon. 0.3 of a second, that is it. And they're now almost 11 seconds ahead of Simona Di Silvestro in 3rd. Well, it was a little bit of a rocky start, but once we got going, the rhythm and pace has been spectacular on a very demanding 1.7-mile circuit. Any lap now, Scott Dixon in 2nd place will come in. The target team are ready, Marty.
And the handling finally going away to the point that Scott Dixon did finally want to come down pit road. Will Power will pit on the next lap. You see Dixon come to a stop in his stall. Hits his marks perfectly. It'll be sticker primary tires for Scott Dixon, and air pressure adjustment, and a longer time on the left front. It took a little bit of time for Scott Dixon. Kevin?
Simona Di Silvestro pits out of the third position. She started fifth. She's run with the leaders all day. They went down a little bit on tire pressure. They've also been concerned about the brakes overheating, but they felt like they got them cooled down towards the end of that stint.
Now, it's also the outlap that Dixon does here, too, is really, really important. To see if he got out without any traffic and Power catches any traffic, it's going to be interesting to see who comes out in the lead after these pit stops.
You may have noticed there that Simon Pagenaud beat Simona Di Silvestro after Simona had executed a pass on track. While Simon has been out there pounding around, he was able to beat Simona out of the pits. Now, this is where the pressure and tension rises. All the pressure now swings on Team Penske to execute a perfect stop for Will Power. Here he is, he's in the lane, and we will eagerly watch for where Scott Dixon is. How good is this outlap by the Target Chip Ganassi racer? Marty.
That's exactly what they wanted, Lee. They got one lap more out of that fuel run than Scott Dixon did, and some trouble. They could not get the jack to go up. You hear Tim Cindric say, we got to go up. The jack did not go up. This will cost Will Power a little bit of time. 9.2. Let's see where he cycles out with Dixon.
Keep an eye up at Dixon. There he is. Scott Dixon, side by side, and easily beats Will Power. So that was a spectacular outlap and a little bit of trouble on the Penske side.
Right, I think that was the right call for the Ganassi guys to do. Try to pull him in a little bit earlier. But those outlaps, after you make the pit stop, are so important. And Dixon, both these guys are really good getting out on cold tires.
Here's the story, guys. 7.4 seconds the stop for Dixon, 9.2 for Power. And while Power pitted, so too did Sebastian Bourdais in the Dragon Racing entry, making his way very effectively through the field after getting a grid spot penalty for an engine change. Enjoying the ride with Charlie Kimball. Boy, this is a punishing circuit. That just really underscored how challenging it is physically. Luca Filippi.
Yes, and he's able to go a lap longer than Will Power, of course. And he said his problem early on was that the tire pressure, wow, that's a good one. That was under 8 seconds. Now they've added more tire pressures for Luca, saying that earlier on when he was struggling, it needed the tire pressures to come up. Now he has what he wants.
There's radio trouble at the AJ Foyt Racing team with the ABC supply car of Takuma Sato. Apparently, the team has requested for Sato to be black flagged to get him to come in because they can't communicate to him.
Good way to do it. Remember pit boards?
Oh, I ran a pit board for a couple of years at the Indy 500 while Dario turned it around.
Tough weekend for the multi-time Indy 500 winner and series champion.
Tough year.
Yeah. Yep. First time we've seen a full course yellow since that initial standing start. Sorry, the second standing start where James Hinchcliffe stalled it. We saw a lot of stoppages throughout yesterday's practice sessions. The guys just getting to grips with this track, didn't we? It was a pretty messy day.
Well, like you said, Lee, this place is very bumpy. It's very physical. Not to mention it's about 90 degrees with almost 99% humidity out there. So,
but Wally and I were talking to the break, Lee. You got to give these fans a lot of credit. The grandstands are pretty well full here in the front straightaway, and it's 94 degrees and it's 100% humidity.
And our camera guys who have been out there all day long.
Absolutely.
Been a very challenging weekend. You heard James Hinchcliffe tell Marty earlier, I have been hydrating for a 90-lap race. So from 49, look at the top right-hand side of your screen, from 49 points coming into today's first race of this doubleheader weekend, the points as they run now would evaporate to 8. Dixon is really in this. Pagenaud is really in this. And Penske, Team Penske for Helio Castroneves cannot believe their luck. Bad luck, that is. A replay of the pit stop.
It's just the jack didn't come up. That's why they couldn't get the tires wheels off, because the jack was a little bit. I mean, it doesn't look like much, guys, but when you're talking about a second and a half, that's a lot when there's a car up to speed that you're trying to race that's on the racetrack.
Yep.
And we're hearing an update that they may put the sweeper out as well. They'll make the most of this portion to clean the track as they go out to rescue the stranded Dario Franchitti. Back in a moment. Under our third full course caution here at the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston, live here on NBCSN, your home of open wheel racing. And this was due to the stranded Dario Franchitti needing rescuing. It has been a fascinating race at the front between Scott Dixon for Target Chip Ganassi Racing and the Verizon Chevrolet of Will Power. And in behind him, you may have noticed his teammate Helio Castro-Neves. For those of you just turning on, big story of the day. That car there, that driver there, lost some 7 or 8 laps and has seen his rather healthy championship lead evaporate to this man here, Scott Dixon. Marty?
Well, Lee, you mentioned the problems for our championship leader, Helio Castro-Neves, and we'll take you through the field under caution here with 42 laps complete here in Houston. They just told Scott Dixon on the radio about the problems for Helio Castro-Neves, and, you know, I'm not an expert or anything, but I could tell the tone in Scott Dixon's voice changed. Much calmer, much different in the feedback to the team. He now knows he is in position to get back in this championship game for sure, with 2 races left in the season after today's race. Will Power right behind him. He is still in the second position. He was very calm, told his guys on the radio that's all right after the bad stop. We will get it back. We are faster than Scott Dixon. We can get past him on the racetrack. We skip over Helio Castro-Neves to Simon Pagenaud. On the first run, he said, my car was bottoming out so bad they did fix that. A wing change, air pressure changes. The third guy in the championship, don't forget about him, came in 70 points out. Right now, 45 points out of the championship lead, Jan.
And it was a great break for Luca Filippi, who made that late pit stop. And they have learned, as I mentioned during the pit stop, he likes higher tire pressure. Now he has that. You can see him trying to keep the tires clean at the moment, but they love their position at the moment.
Sebastian Bourdais has worked his way from 14th to 5th. Remember, he was quick and qualified 4th. We look at Bourdais there. He's made his way back up, and he knew that he might have the same opportunity like he did at Baltimore. Remember, he started 22nd there and still finished on the podium. Behind Bourdais is Simona Di Silvestro. Keep an eye on this car because of a close call just moments ago. Dario Franchitti just had to pit just a moment ago, and this brought out the yellow from this close encounter between the 78 and the 10 car. Let's see if there's any contact or how much it is. We haven't heard any report from Di Silvestro's camp of any issue. Their biggest problem and concern right now is possibly overheating with the brakes, but no damage as far as the 78 is concerned, Jan.
And Ryan Hunter-Ray, who is the next position behind, you'll see the bright yellow colors, the DHL. Now he comes into the shot. He has been having a problem with rear compliance. In other words, the car's hopping around when he hits the bumps at the rear. They're on a slightly different pit strategy, but because of these yellows, he now only has one stop, like everyone else, to the end.
EJ Viso happy with his car so far. He had a good starting position in 8th, and that's where he runs right now. Michael Cannon, his engineer, said before, but because so many people got so little track time, this first stint is like a test session. Then we'll learn and see what adjustments we need to make, Jan.
And, of course, Charlie Kimball was the cause, I guess you would say, of the aborted first standing start because of a clutch issue. As you go on board, he actually has a different steering wheel than he started the race on. His second pit stop, they tried to swap that out, but he still had trouble with the clutch. He has another pit stop to come, and that's the biggest worry for them right now.
Oriol Serbia running in 10th position, started 17th. They were optimistic after the good car they had at Baltimore, but it hasn't been good coming into the race, but it's getting better. Oriol just radioed in a few moments ago and said the car is really good, and I think it's going to be better by the end of a run.
Kevin, Justin Wilson had that flat left rear tire earlier, pitted a little bit earlier than they would have liked to, and he was a little bit frustrated with lap traffic. Dale Cohen told him, listen, get back in the saddle and focus on what you've got to do. And if it comes down to conditioning day, this guy rides 50 miles a day in the mountains of Colorado. I think conditioning is fine for Justin Wilson.
And, of course, Takuma Sato also has a cycling background, but he had no radio earlier on. We reported that. He made a 17-second pit stop. They've now reconnected his helmet. All is good.
Mike Conway has not had the day that he was hoping for, but it's not that unexpected. He said the car is very similar to in Toronto when he qualified 20 and 23rd, and just through attrition and hanging in there, he finished 7th in both of those races. He said that's what it's going to take again here today. Marty?
Well, we talked about, Kevin, that fantastic paint job for Joseph Newgarden. You see him back there in the chrome car. There he comes in the picture right there. It took 500 man-hours. And yes, I said paint job. That is paint on Joseph Newgarden's car. At the end of that run, they told him, you were the fastest car at the very end of the run. They were able to make their way into the top 10 last time.
And Marty, for James Jakes, He is back. He has had a very fast car, but there was a radio miscommunication. They told him to pit, then they changed their mind and said, no, don't pit. He drove through the pit lane and had to make 2 stops. That's why he lost all the track position.
Back to racing, and it's Dixon at the front. Power in pursuit. Look at this here. Luca Filippi feels racy on Simon Pagenaud. Looks for an inside run. He's going for it. The Italian pulls it off. Wow. That was a bold move from Luca Filippi, and he did it.
Yeah, that was a really good move. I don't know about, I think Pagenaud is going to be out for blood after that one.
There has been a lot said about Luca Filippi. We can give his background, his racing history, but here in the States, everybody has just simply been impressed. They like the way the guy drives. He's fast, he's aggressive, and he gets it done.
Looks like we're taking a look. And one thing about I've noticed on Filippi's car, his car looks like it's really good in the short run, but on the long run, he's having some trouble. As Bourdais takes the position from Pagenaud. Again, Pagenaud's car better on the long run, so he struggles on these restarts.
And look at that. Don't forget Kevin Tolder-Simona on the inside of Simon Pagenaud. He's lost 2 positions, 3 positions on this.
Absolutely awesome.
2. Won't make it 3. Hunter Ray didn't get by. But Simon Pagenaud's got his hands full on this first flying lap. It's getting back to Sebastian Bourdais. Remember, he won here in 2006-2007 on the streets of the Reliant Park Stadium circuit in the Champ Car World Series.
Looks like Pagenaud's on the harder tires as well. A lot of these guys like to see the reds on Hunter Ray's car.
He is, guys, and we talked about all the debris that's on the racetrack. You see Viso go underneath the chicane there, and that's what happened to Simon Pagenaud. Got into a little bit of debris. We call it marbles. Got that on his tires. Going to take a few laps to get that off, guys.
Pretty impressive run from Ryan Hunter-Ray, you know, considering the defending champion started in 15th. Wide goes Takuma Sato and lost a position. Meanwhile, Serbia, look at this. Yep. Serbia is under pressure. Justin Wilson couldn't quite pull it off. Serbia put his car in a nice position there in the middle of the road.
Yeah, that was a really good defensive move without really being a defensive move. He kind of ran down the middle of the track. Didn't quite give Justin enough room there to safely make the pass. And yet, don't forget, we heard Justin was very, frustrated with some of these guys. So again, he's going to have to force the issue to make these passes.
Back in the pack. How far back? 20th for our championship leader, Elio Castro Neves. We know that many of you turn on at different times throughout the broadcast. The big story involves this man. His championship lead has almost disappeared. He had 49 points coming into today's race. Points as they run now, his lead would be trimmed to just 8. Gearbox issues on the Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet for Team Penske. They came in, the guys did an awesome job to get it rectified and sent him back out, and he's down in 20th position out of this race. We're yet to get an update on Tony Kanaan. He had issues. He's down in 21st. Vautier, Carpenter and Hinchcliffe are definitely retirements from this race.
Hey, Lee, Shell and Pennzoil have done such a good job promoting this race. Mike Lanigan was telling me he's never had a title sponsor as active as these guys in radio, television, newspaper, magazine ads. They want to come back next year. It's awful hot today. The race is probably going to be in late June, and he's trying to get a night race, a night doubleheader. I think that'd be great for the fans and the crew. You don't have to sit in these aluminum seats when it's 95 degrees beating down on you.
And a night street race is just spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean,
just look at Singapore.
Awesome.
Look at the Singapore Grand
Absolutely.
Prix.
And Champ Car ran here at night, and it was a hell of a show. It just looks faster.
Let's ride with Pagenaud. And Hunter-Ray just keeping the pressure there from 15th to 7th. RHR.
Like I said earlier, I think Pagenaud's car is a lot better after he runs 5 or 6 laps. See how rough this racetrack is.
While you drove around it, it's real wide going into the corners, so it invites you to dive bomb.
It really does. And that's what I love about the street course, is it is wide on the entry, so it gives you plenty of room to try to make a pass and get underneath somebody, without getting in the marbles or getting into the walls. So I love the layout of this place. they could just get the bumps out of it for next year, it'll really be fantastic.
Whoa, did you see Hunter Ray there?
And guys, you hear Rob Edwards on the radio saying it's coming back to you now. Wally, I was going to say, take us in the helmet of a driver. He was third a moment ago. Now he's sixth. He got those marbles on his tires, so it's kind of a game for the driver. You've got to not be frustrated by what happened. Be calm and still try to work your way back through the field, but don't abuse your tires either, right?
Yeah, he's got a good race car, Marty, and that's half the battle. I think if he gets back on the Reds, he's going to be in a lot better position as far as how the car handles, but he's doing a great job right now.
And he is the fastest guy on the track on that last lap. Faster than race leader Dixon, faster than Will Power, faster than any of them ahead of him. So that's why Rob Edwards said it's coming back to you, mate. Just hang in there. So we're into the second half of the first of two races here at the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston on what could be a pivotal race and pivotal round for this man, Scott Dixon.
Maybe you've already heard what they're saying about the Nissan Altima. And we have to admit that it's all true. But don't just take their word for it. Check it out for yourself. The award-winning Nissan Altima. Nissan, innovation that excites. Now get a $179 per month lease on the 2013 Nissan Altima.
Live in-car cameras. 4-in-1 mosaic. Having your heart race as fast as theirs.
Hey, good for green.
That's powerful. Download IndyCar 13 now, only from Verizon.
The scientists at Shell have created Shell V-Power Premium Gasoline, which actively cleans for better performance, helping make the roads more exciting to drive. Choose Shell V-Power Premium Gasoline, performance that excites. Shell is a proud sponsor of the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston.
Legendary durability, impressive mileage, Firestone tires. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
The Miller Lite Punch Top can. Let it flow. It's Miller time.
It is a beautiful day in H-Town. Houston turning it on for round 17 of the 19-round IZOD IndyCar Series. This is the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston. Look at those two monstrous structures, the Astrodome and then Reliance Stadium side by side, and that's where we are racing. Standing starts, the order of the day. However, Charlie Kimball had issues. He had clutch issues. And so that start had to be aborted. We came around again to try it again, and the GoDaddy machine of James Hinchcliffe, they had issues, perhaps electrical. And James just got clipped by Tristan Vautier narrowly, but got slammed by Ed Carpenter. And that was our second full-course caution. The pole sitter and the early race leader, Takuma Sato, had a punctured tyre. It was going down. He was forced to pit. That was agonizing.
Lap 24, our points leader has gearbox problems. They came in, they changed the cluster, which you see there on the bottom of the screen. They did a good job, but he's 9 laps down.
Yeah, Elio Castro-Neves, after sitting there agonizingly for some 7-8 laps, watching the field go by, is back up at him 20th. And then his Penske teammate, they had some issues there with the jack and getting off that rear left tire. It cost him more than a second in comparison to Scott Dixon's stop, and Dixon was able to sweep around and take the race lead for the first time in this event. It was as simple as that. And look at this, Simona Di Silvestro ahead of Simon Pagenaud, who was getting quicker and quicker. This is the fight for a top 5 spot. Ryan Hunter-Reay looming in the background. But gee, it's been a great day for the KV Racing Technology driver, Simona Di Silvestro. Let's hear from one of her team co-owners.
Jimmy Vasser on the stand for Tony Kanaan. Unfortunately, that car out because of brake issues, but so far so good for Simona. What are you hearing from that team?
Simona's doing a great job. You know, they're on the same window as the leaders. That might play out in their favor at the end. And she's just doing a great job. That whole nuclear team has been on the pace this weekend. Too bad for Tony. The rear brakes just went completely through the roof in temperature, and he couldn't stop the car.
Well, speaking of Tony, it became official this week that he's going to Ganassi next year. What's the plan for that car moving forward?
Yep, it's a good opportunity for him. We wish him well. We did our best at trying to keep him, put an offer in front of him, and you know, he just turned us down. But we got a great group of sponsors that are standing behind us, and we're looking to do our best to get the best guy in the seat, or girl, I suppose, for next year. So you have the sponsorship to go out and hire someone? Yeah, we're set to go, and we're just trying to get the best possible candidate we can. All right, that's Jimmy Vassar.
The 2000 winner in Houston on a different track. Look at this. Here's Simon Pagenaud on Simona and executes it. Nice one. Simon Pagenaud claws his way back into the top 5. Time now for Shell to give us a look at Simona Di Silvestro in today's driver profile. The 25-year-old Swiss driver. And as we mentioned a little earlier, got the season off to a really dynamic start. And here she is here vying for another top 5. Fingers crossed she can hold onto it, and it'd really give her season a boost. She finished top 5 on the streets of Baltimore a month ago, and she's just got to hang in there for another 36 laps. She's got the defending series champion Ryan Hunter-Reay right behind her though. Up front, Dixon has extended his lead to 2.6 seconds over Will Power. And then the new guy to the series, Luca Filippi, driving for Brian Herta Autosport, is running 3rd. That is a really solid run.
I was talking to Brian Herta, and he said, you know, this kid's so impressive. He's driving his way into our heart, and we're definitely probably going to make him an offer to drive for us next year. And I think that's, you know, the kid had no chance in Formula One in Europe, so he came over here like a lot of guys like Justin Wilson did, and he's hoping to make a career. He's a hell of a nice, personable kid, and it's awesome. When you can jump in a race car and go to strange tracks with strange people around your car like this guy has and impress people and get in the Fast 6 like he's done, pretty spectacular.
Well, he went wheel to wheel in the GP2 championship with now Formula One driver Romain Grosjean. He finished 2nd to Grosjean in that championship several years ago. Last year, he just subbed in one race in GP2 at Monza, and he won it. I mean, that shows you how good he is. If you can just jump in, you're not doing a championship as competitive as GP2 all the time, and you can win just straight out. Luca Filippi is a rock star, and he's showing us here today. This is Wilson. He's in.
Justin Wilson hitting at the very beginning of his window lead because he was very frustrated with last traffic, especially oil Serbia. He said, I just can't get around the theory. Pit here, pit early, have a clean racetrack for the rest of this run. They told him go as hard as you can.
And who knows if we may get another yellow before this race is out. We've had 3 cautions for a total of 12 laps so far. The lanky Englishman is back out and back chasing another solid result. As he's had on numerous occasions, he stood on the podium in the IZOD IndyCar Series this year. There's our race leader, the Kiwi, Scott Dixon, 2.1 seconds over Will Power.
We know some people just can't leave things be. They wonder how much faster this thing could go. What if it weighed less or turned sharper? They know that things can always be better. We count ourselves among those people. Introducing quicker, sleeker, smarter. Best Civic Si yet, made possible by Honda.
Honda, proud partner of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
For the police, this car is finished. 90,000 hard miles. But I'm hoping for another 300,000. They used Mobil 1 for performance. I use it to keep my cars running like new. I run Mobil 1 in my own car. Guess what I drive?
Keep your engine running like new. Mobil 1.
Man, this helmet is just torture on my hair.
Well, you gotta use Head and Shoulders for Men. It's all you need to reach pull them all the levels of scalp and hairness. Check it.
Head and Shoulders for Men, with 7 benefits for a flake-free scalp and great-looking hair. Even if you wear a helmet for a living.
I know.
Head and Shoulders for Men, 100% flake-free.
IndyCar is more than exciting.
It's a way to expose young fans to real-world experiences in science, technology, engineering, and math. At the track and in the classroom, IndyCar offers the IndyCar Future of Fast STEM education program, using the world of IndyCar to engage students with interactive hands-on experiences and in-classroom learning, because they are the future of fast. Go to IndyCar.com/Future of Fast for more information.
Ryan Hunter-Reay hits the pit lane again here in Houston. You may have seen during the break he had made a pit stop. They were having gearbox-related issues, and they called him on the radio and said, go to emergency mode. And here is the result. He's brought it onto pit road. They're going to check the electronics first before they go to the back of the car like we saw for Castro Neves. So not the kind of day, certainly, that Ryan Hunter-Reay was expecting, and this is something that's happened to him in the past, stationary on pit road. Takuma Sato has taken the opportunity to make his pit stop. You see him back up to speed, hoping that maybe taking the early part of this window will pay if there's some caution.
I remember saying at Baltimore, how much can Scott Dixon take? I think that's very appropriate for Ryan Hunter-Reay this year. How much can the defending series champion take? He just keeps getting one hit after another. It is very, very frustrating.
Especially coming off a year.
Exactly, because right now is when he was really hitting his stride last year, finishing that championship in the best possible way. He and Will Power going head-to-head right down to the final race at Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, incidentally, where we will conclude this year's IZOD IndyCar Series. There's your Shell Pennzoil lap leaders. It has been very much a race dominated by Scott Dixon and Will Power as Dixon comes up on Sebastian Saavedra, and Joseph Newgarden comes in. Marty standing by.
Yeah, Lee, he pitched from 11th. On the first stop, they went longer than everybody else. On this one, they pit a little bit short. Again, the traffic is frustrating everybody. That's the big factor making the stop early in the window here for Joseph Newgarden. They've been very good on older tires, so why not take a chance right here?
All right, let's keep rolling here, buddy.
You hear Mike O'Gara on the radio there saying, let's get going. He had a career-high result on the podium at Baltimore a month ago. Super talented young American driver. And that was good reward for what's now been a year and a half of hard work in the IZOD IndyCar Series, almost completing his second full season. Just watching that lead margin, Wally, with much interest. It goes anywhere from up to 2.5 seconds down to now 1.7, 1.6 between Dixon and Power. Obviously traffic affected, but these guys are keeping each other close at hand, aren't they?
Yeah, traffic effect for sure. Also, don't forget, Dixon's car started to go off later in his run. I'm not sure, we talked to Marty during the break. I think there's some different, one guy saying, go, go, go. The other guy saying, no, you can back it off a little bit. But obviously, if you're in Dixon's shoes, you're not going to back it off too much when you see that power car getting larger in your mirrors.
One thing we've been remiss to mention, Robin, is that Scott Dixon, our race leader and championship hopeful, was fined $30,000 for making disparaging remarks in regards to the IndyCar race control. They said you're bringing the sport into disrepute. We're not going to accept that, and we're going to hand you a pretty hefty fine, something that Dixon was not too pleased about.
No, and they offer you the public service deal, go have some autograph sessions, but I think they know deep down inside it's always good for the series. The double bird from Will Power at Loudon a couple years ago, people talk about it, you're on television, you're on Sports Center.
More action on pit lane, and we're hearing that Pagenaud and Simona are in. Here is Simon.
Yeah, pitting early in this window. Lee seems to be the fad. All of a sudden, Simon Pagenaud going with sticker primary tires very fast at the middle part of that run for Simon Pagenaud. Kevin?
And Simona Di Silvestro makes her final stop. This is within the window. She'll be able to go the rest of the way. The car has been good. The only concern, like many, overheating the brakes.
Boy, it's been a solid run from Simona Di Silvestro today, running in the top 5 for the entire race. Can she hang on? Can she keep it there? Also been super impressive from Sebastian Bourdais. Qualified well, got that grid spot penalty for an engine change back in the teens, and he's come from 14th, worked his way all the way. He's now running in 4th, trying to hunt down Luca Filippi.
And Bourdais may be driving for a job next year, Lee, because I think Jimmy Vassar has made an offer to to James Hinchcliffe, but if he wouldn't take it and he stayed with Andretti, I think Bourdais is next up in line there. So we're not sure about Jay Penske, but Bourdais certainly still in the running for a ride maybe with KV.
There you go, that point that I was just making. He's the biggest mover in the field from 14th to 4th, along with Servia and Kimball. If you know Sebastian Bourdais, you know that he doesn't mince his words. He just tells you how it is, and he's kind of just a very factual guy. And you're talking about someone who has won 4 open-wheel titles here in North America, and he said to me yesterday, I don't know, I'm probably 3rd or 4th on the wish list. You know, Kanan's at the top. Well, now we know he's going to Ganassi. Hinchcliffe is probably next, so I don't know, I fit in there somewhere 3rd or 4th on the list. Fingers crossed, hopefully. There's a guy who's a 4-time Champ Car titleist, and he's saying, hopefully I'll get picked up there somewhere, as Saavedra and Elio Castro Neves hit pit lane. Our points leader, who has suffered a major blow today and maintains his position, Jan, in 20th.
Yes, we're both watching Elio Castro Neves make a pit stop right now, so it'll be quite noisy. But what happened with you? We see Castro Neves now left. What was it, a gearbox-related issue?
Yeah. We lost pressure in the gear shifting mechanism, so I don't know. It seems like it's every race right now. I'm so frustrated. That was a lot of hard work, you know. We came up to 6th there, I think, from 16th. Had a really good day going, but it's just so frustrating. I don't know how to put a smile on it right now, but it's just every race we find ourselves. It seems like every race we find ourselves on the side here, watching the end of the race.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Leader sitting pit road. Marty?
Scott Dixon on pit road, our race leader, and I'm telling you, this strategy of pitting now and getting a clean racetrack seems to be working for everybody. And I hear there may be a full course caution. There is a full course caution. This will be a huge break for Scott Dixon. They get the primary tires on, all 4 stickers. It leaves pit road under that caution, and a big break for our race leader, guys.
I was going to say, boy, the luck has changed in his direction.
Holy mackerel, that you couldn't buy a better break.
You think about the swings in luck on Dixon's side and on Castro Neves' side.
Look at Servia. Look at how these guys are out of breath. That's how physical this racetrack. He's been probably sitting there for about a minute. They got the yellows going, fortunately, so these guys know that somebody's around the corner. That's a terrible place to be parked.
May have noticed the Fuzzies machine of Ed Carpenter there. They did good work, his team, the ECR crew, to get that car back together and enable Ed to get back out on the track. So too Tristan Vautier as well. So as the stranded National Guard car needs rescuing, a huge swing for Scott Dixon on a day that could change the look of this 2013 championship.
And Oriol Servia is another guy looking for a job next year. He thought maybe he had a chance at Panther. It looks like it's going to be Ryan Briscoe. He could be this. They're trying to have a second car. He could be the second car. He could also be his buddy Jimmy Vasser. He's certainly a proven race driver that has never really had a real break in this series.
I've got some replays. Let's show you, see if this can decipher what happened to Oriol Servia. If it was a spin and then a stall, was there another car involved? This is a replay of a different incident. This is Charlie Kimball and EJ Viso. Just good tight racing, good hard racing.
Lots of room. Like I said, it's great to see the exit of these corners. There's plenty of space to be able to do that. Let's see what happens to Servia here.
Let's take a listen.
Pit this lap, Oriol. Pit.
Yeah.
It just sounds like it's not shifted. It's not downshifted. It didn't sound like.
So we're under our 4th full course caution. This will certainly help those drivers who pitted early in the pit stop window, in this final pit stop window, as we now work lap 66 of 90 with 24 left to run. And then we'll only be at the halfway mark of this Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston. This is the 3rd and final doubleheader of the year. As always, we like to hit a break and bring you back to show you all the green flag racing. Back to Houston after this.
Oh, come on! That's a hole!
I hate watching with Ramsey. All he does is yell. They can't hear you, Ramsey. But every time he's come over this year, we've won. And he always brings Bud Light. Little dog won't come out from under the couch. But we're winning. I love you, Ramsey.
Bud Light, for the fans who do whatever it takes.
So you're into fantasy football, then you gotta check out these new one-week leagues on FanDuel.com. Check out Chris Prince. He's won $492 grand on FanDuel. There's no season-long commitment, and with brand new contests every week, you can pick a new team each week and get immediate cash payouts. And look, FanDuel's gonna pay out $135 million this year. You gotta get your share. And now FanDuel is going to match your first deposit. That's right. Sign up today, and FanDuel will double your deposit. Just go to FanDuel.com right now and enter the promo code GUARD.
We did it.
Yeah, we're business owners.
We got name tags.
And those little bendy straws.
And our old-fashioned DSL service.
Uncle Bill, internet's really slow in here.
And Kevin.
Why don't we get Comcast Business? It's up to 5 times faster than DSL.
Honey, maybe you should take a break.
But I just got here.
She said take a break.
Switch to Comcast Business Internet today. Then get voice and TV for just $34.90 more a month.
A man pioneers a way to see the unseen, leading to radar, forever providing early warnings and safer journeys. The conviction to create a safer journey is the Mazda way. The Mazda 6 uses radar, lasers, and sensors to detect objects and even apply the brakes for you. Introducing the modern sports sedan, the Mazda 6. What do you drive?
The final 23 laps of the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston. Great to have you with us on our live coverage here on NBC-SN. Lee Diffie along with Wally Dallenbach, and Robin Miller is joining us in the booth today because our buddy Townsend Bell is at Virginia International Raceway today racing his Ferrari in the American Le Mans Series. Townsend will be here tomorrow though for race 2 of the doubleheader. That means you're out in the heat, Miller.
I know, brother. Old people.
You like it here, though.
Old people. I like this. I see why Wally's always in a good mood now.
Marty Snyder and Kevin Lee and Jan Beekes are with us as always as well on what has been a really entertaining and pretty interesting weekend because of this mad scramble to get the track built in time after the Texans played last weekend. And now we see pits opened and a mad scramble and flurry for that final stop of the race. Kevin?
Sebastian Bourdais has the first in with Conway staying out this time. Great stop for the 17. He comes in running in third. Also, EJ Viso was fifth. Pretty solid stop for him. Bourdais has won the only 2 IndyCar races on this circuit, looking to make it a 4th straight podium. Jan?
I can tell you just, Wally, while we're seeing what's happening with Charlie Kimball, we talked about he had one more stop, and they were so concerned about the clutch. They're trying everything they can to bump start it. If they can get him going, he's good. There you go. Right, so that's the last time he should have to be on pit road. I can tell you the reason that Filippi did not pit is he was told, follow the leader. Whatever Power does, you do. Power stayed out. Filippi came, and they pulled the tires back in. So they just want to make sure they stay in step with Power.
Well, wait a minute. Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, because they both pitted within a lap of each other. That was a while ago.
Yep.
Lap 37.
That was lap
Power
38.
But Pagano and Simona and Wilson made a lot of spots up on that because they pitted at the right time when the yellow came out.
But why? They're obviously hoping for another yellow.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk more about Team Penske. Here is Marty.
Well, let's chat with Tim Cindric as they were about to pit, and the caution came out. Wrong time for you guys. What's the strategy now in leaving Will out there?
You go out there, you lead as many laps as you can, but if we were going to come in where we are in the points and all that, it is what it is. We can go probably 5 or 6 more laps here and try and pick up a few spots, but yeah, it's discouraging for sure, because if we can go one more lap, I think it's a pretty good race, but hey, it's just the way it goes.
So there you go. The theory being that if they pitted now, they're not going to win the race anyway. So leave them out there, lead as many laps as you can. And oh, by the way, I believe they're going to put on primary tires next time. That will save them a set of Reds tires for tomorrow's qualifying session. So an interesting twist for tomorrow for Will Power.
Also, think about laps led and bonus points in the championship. If Will Power stays out there, he'll get the most laps led, denying Dixon from another bonus point. Hey, another quick reminder about Verizon streaming. To download the IndyCar 13 app, simply call ** Indy or search the App Store or Google Play, only from Verizon. Jan?
Well, we just heard from Tim Cindric, and we heard up at the front end of pit road that Will Power, they decided they want to run a few more laps. Looks like you're playing follow the leader.
A little bit, but I think just similar thinking. You know, Luca's done a great job, and this yellow is heartbreaking for us because, you know, we obviously have pace, but this isn't going to help us. You know, we're just going to run as fast as we can for 10 or 12 laps here and try and build a gap, and when we do have to stop, you know, try and get out as far ahead as we can.
Well, I suppose the good news here, Brian Hurta said 10 or 12 laps. We heard Tim Cindric say 5 or 6. Maybe that'll work for Luca Filippi.
I'm not sure you're going to build a gap on Scott Dixon on new tires.
Wally, if you were a rookie and you were running third in an IndyCar race and the guy said stay out, and would you might want to pit on your own?
Yeah, I don't know if I want these guys all over me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, listen, you know, I've run it. You know, you ran a great race, but he's going to have his hands full, and this guy's going to be all over.
And remember the last restart, we saw Filippi make a really ambitious move down into that turn 2 complex, ready to go racing again in Houston. Let's do it. Will Power, Luca Filippi, and Scott Dixon, the top 3, with just 20 laps to run. Into that tricky turn 2. That's what it looks like, but these top 2 guys must pit again. And so that puts the spotlight on that target machine in 3rd place. This is the day that Scott Dixon has been waiting for.
And it's a great point that you made as far as why Power's out there. They're just denying Dixon that one point. They figure there's no way we're going to be able to win this race. and that's the move.
Sweeping around behind the Astrodome. What do they call it? The 8th wonder of the world?
And
the House of Pain.
Lee, A.J. Foyt won a midget race there in 1969 on the dirt in the Astrodome. Pretty cool.
Speaking of feeling pain, that's what Helio Castro Neves is going through. There he is right there. Our championship leader just revisiting the big storyline today. He had a gear cluster issue, was forced to pit as Pagano and Simona Di Silvestro. They forced their way past Saavedra, and Simona got Pagano.
Yeah.
That was a swift move. Remember, we've seen it before at the restarts. It seems to take a few laps for Pagano to get to speed, and now Wilson is hounding him. James Jakes whips through on the inside. Joseph Newgarden as well as they go through that bump section at turn 1.
Yeah, you're right. Pagano, they've got to figure a way to get this car a little bit better on these starts and these restarts. Some of these guys taking the low line, but boy, good racing here.
Yeah, Mike Conway is not about to do his teammate any favours either. So the Dale Coyne cars as Wilson puts a wheel up on the inside of Pagano. Good side-by-side racing, and then he squeezes him in the wall.
Yeah, that's shifting up to lose a couple of spots there. That's what's frustrating right now for the 77 of Pagano. The car just takes about 5 or 6 laps before it comes in. See a little defensive move here on Sato.
Let's give some credit to Dale Coyne and the Sonnies and Boy Scouts of America team, because everybody, it's always easy to talk about the Penske's, the Ganassis, the Andretti's of the world, but how about Dale Coyne? Both of his cars are in the top 7 at the moment, the top 6 in fact, and doing an outstanding job.
You know what, Lee? He's got Bill Pappas and he's got John Dick, 2 of the best veteran engineers in the paddock, and they always have competitive cars, and they don't have a big budget, they don't do a lot of testing, and they don't have shock dyno men and all the things the big teams do. They got a lot of heart, they got a lot of talent.
Newgarden making some noise here, taking a look underneath.
Sato
going to force his way through. Good move.
Remember, these guys raced hard on the streets of Brazil. We thought that Joseph Newgarden may have got his very first career win. James Jakes on the inside of Sato.
Oh! No. See, Sato had to let him go, and when he let him go, Jakes got underneath him, and it forced Sato in the marbles, and unfortunately, no grip out there.
A day that started with so much promise for Houston's own A.J. Foyt and his team with Sato on the pole. It went away with a punctured tyre, and now it's really gone away.
This keeps helping. All this stuff keeps helping Castroneves, though, fellas. I mean, that's another place he might pick up.
Yeah.
He's up to 19th. He's up to 19th now.
He's going to get Serbia.
He's going to get Serbia. So that'll be 18th, and it's all about salvaging as many points as you can. Finally, we see Penske and Brian Hurta Autosport pit. Let's go to the power pit. Marty Snyder's standing by.
Well, and Lee, they stayed out as long as they could to lead as many laps as they could. That was a strategy for Will Power. You see them put the sticker primary tires on there. Clearly won't win the race, but they were trying to do their best to take that point away from Dixon.
Will it? Will it now because of this caution?
We'll just do a quick count here to see how many laps, who's led the most laps in this race. Get back to
There's Power denied Dixon the...
Oh, this is Mike Conway. And our championship leader, Elio Castro Neves.
I think they were coming up on the wreck, and somebody got on the brakes, and the other guy didn't expect it.
You see the intricate process there that they have to go through to get it into reverse.
Can we do anything? Hold the clutch for 2 seconds. Select reverse.
And that's the voice of Roger Penske talking to Elio Castro Neves.
Oh, there he just stalled it.
And that gesture was like, I've had enough. I've had enough. Just come and help him turn me around.
Okay, now watch what happens here. You see that Sato is on the outside. He just gets offline here. He's under the curb. But I believe it's Jakes has a run coming on him.
And then James Jakes comes up the inside in the Acorn car.
And Sato sees him, gives him room, but he just gets in the marbles there. And, you know, once you get the right sides in the marbles, boy, it's like losing all grip.
Oh, this will be good.
Here it is up above. And he was quite courteous to Newgarden here, wasn't he? Just said, well, I'm not going to fight for that. I'll just go through here. No advantage. However, it was an advantage to James Jakes. Up the inside, out wide. You can see him in the grey there. This will tell us more. There goes Conway. Oh. So Mike Conway and Elio Castro Neves just taking evasive action. But that cost Mike Conway a potential top 10, maybe even a top 5 finish, because his teammate Justin Wilson is now in third. Simona Di Silvestro runs second in this race behind Scott Dixon. Wouldn't it be something if the Swiss Miss could stand on the podium? Incredible day in Houston. IndyCar racing returns to H-Town, Houston, Texas, for the first time in 6 years, and it's already been a memorable day. And what's better? We've got another day tomorrow. It's a double header. And speaking of being busy, there's lots coming up on NBCSN and NBC. Tonight at 7 Eastern, it's Notre Dame countdown to kick off the game against 22nd ranked Arizona State. We play just up the road at AT&T Stadium, 7:30 on NBC. And then at 10 Eastern, 2 top-tier Western Conference MLS teams meet, and the Colorado Rapids host the Seattle Sounders. And you won't want to miss Formula One. It's either late tonight if you're on the West Coast or early tomorrow morning on the East Coast, 1:30 a.m. Eastern here on NBCSN. It's the Korean Grand Prix. And no money in this, but I wonder if you can guess who's on pole.
No, is he from Germany?
Does he drive a Red Bull car? Yes, indeed. Sebastian Vettel on pole, going for his 4th consecutive win. Hey, this could be a little bit alarming. Who knows? It may be, it may not. But keep in mind what happened to Justin Wilson earlier in the race with that damaged tyre after hitting debris on track. Look what happened to Scott Dixon. Look up ahead on the right-hand side.
Yeah, watch the right rear and the right front. Actually goes over whatever that is. And boy, if it's carbon fiber or anything like that, Robin, if those little splinters just tear up tires.
All right, let's check in with Marty.
Well, fellas, that's what they're worried about. The sensor on the right rear tire is sending intermittent signals to the teams. It's showing flat, showing it might be going down, and then it's showing it's up. So they don't know if the right rear is flat. They think the right front is fine, but they are really worried about that right rear tire on Scott Dixon's car, and what a change that would be, Kevin.
I'm going to let Oriol Servia stay seated. You look a little bit whipped. How is it out there?
Well, you say it, you know. I mean, it was tough out there. It's just as we expected. We all knew it was going to be physical, but the car was so great. I really thought we were going to be able to give the National Guard guys a good race. Baltimore was awesome here. I had a great pace, and I was just waiting for the last stop, but I had a rocket ship, so I don't know. We lost fuel pressure, so we'll have to see.
All right, another chance for Oriol coming up tomorrow, going green.
Yeah, let's go racing. It's Scott Dixon with a clear track ahead for this final stanza of round 17 of the IZOD IndyCar Series. Simona Di Silvestro is second. Justin Wilson is third. Pagenaud and Newgarden. Joseph is up into the top 5 with just 13 laps to go. Simona Di Silvestro, we had this storyline at the beginning of the year, has never had an IndyCar Series podium. She's running second at the moment.
Doing a great job. She really does well on these type of courses, Lee. I'll tell you, Justin Wilson, he is looking really strong right now. Like I said earlier, he's had a very good car. These guys, they're fighting back, Robin. I mean, he's had a really strong effort this weekend. That was again.
And again for Elliot. What a day this has been to forget. We understand that's at turn 3, local yellow only. Look how Dixon has skipped away.
Yeah, Pagano taking a look there under Wilson, and this is when his car starts to really come strong.
Remember when we got into the happy hour at Baltimore? That was with the last 9 laps. It was frantic. We're getting there again, and now we've gone full course again. 6th time for some 21 laps in this race. And I'm sure it's for this man here, our championship leader, Helio Castro-Neves. He just wants to see the back of this race. He just wants to see the checkered flag. It's been painful.
Wally, would you just head for the bar if you were Castro-Neves?
Yeah.
I'm just packing.
Yeah. This is just, like I said, you want to put this day behind you and start tomorrow as quick as possible.
Yeah. Let's look a little further down the order and give some praise to some other drivers who are having a good day. And the Rahal, Lanigan, Letterman team, drivers of James Jakes and Graham Rahal, are well placed in 6th and 7th. We're on board the blue machine here with Graham. So that would be a nice boost for both he and James Jakes if they could get a top 10 result. Bourdais is 8th, Vizo's 9th, and Charlie Kimball has worked his way back into the top 10. It's been a pretty gritty drive from him after having that trouble on the original start, which had to be aborted. So we're under another yellow. We'll do as planned. Head off to a break and come back and finish this one off.
Every inch, every minute, every second, we chip away at advancing safety with technology, like seeing every curve, even when you don't. Being a second set of eyes, or having stopping power when you need it most. It's not intuition, it's intelligence. This is the new 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It is the best of what we're made of. Well-qualified lessees can lease the 2014 Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4 for $359 a month.
Inside yours. Keep pushing here, bud. That's turn 4, spotter. Turn 4 is clear.
Streaming 4-in-1 Mosaic.
Inside. We'll push the fast left. Be smart here.
Live pit crew chatter. Riding shotgun from green flag to checkered. That's powerful. Download IndyCar 13 now, only from Verizon.
For the police, this car is finished. 90,000 hard miles. But I'm hoping for another 300,000. They used Mobil 1 for performance. I use it to keep my cars running like new. I run Mobil 1 in my own car. Guess what I drive?
Keep your engine running like new. Mobil 1.
The IndyCar Series is on the NBC Sports Network. With 2 races remaining, can Helio Castro-Neves hold on to his lead?
Helio Castro-Neves wins.
The Shell Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston concludes tomorrow at 1 Eastern on the NBC Sports Network.
The NHL continues on the NBC Sports Network. Tuesday night, Stamkos and the Lightning take on the Sabres. Then it's Wednesday night rivalry as the defending champion Blackhawks face off against the Blues. The NHL continues on the NBC Sports Network.
Coming to the end of our 6th full course yellow, we welcome you back right in time to see the green flag wave here on the Reliant Park circuit on the streets of Houston, Texas. Scott Dixon does not waste any time, nor does Simona Di Silvestro. And look at how hard Joseph Newgarden is running. He's in 5th at the moment. Would dearly love to push by Simon Pagenaud. There he is there, ahead of James Jakes and Graham Rahal.
I think Bourdais made the move on Rahal.
They flash by. No, he's still there. Graham's got the spot. Sebastian's got a little bit of work to do. And I said, watch Newgarden and how hard he's pushing. This is scenes of Baltimore all over again with that mad rush at the end for positions. And they were changing by the lap. They were changing by the corner. 10 to go in Houston. A welcome return to the Lone Star State for a street circuit race. It was 6 years ago that Sebastian Bourdais saw victory in the Champ Car World Series. And now it's time for the IZOD IndyCar Series to race here. And look at our leader has disappeared. Dixon says, see you later. I'll let you guys scrap it out.
Yeah, this is a race for second right now so far with 9 laps to go.
2.7 seconds Dixon put on them on that lap. Could Joseph Newgarden negotiate? Oh, teammates here, Graham Rahal thought about it. On James Jakes and then thought twice. Can Newgarden push by Pagenaud? Remember, Pagenaud is in this championship chase as well. He's third. I love this section here around the Astrodome as they build the speed on this right-hand sweeper.
It is. It's fast and it's completely blind. I mean, see the section where these guys, you just kind of point the car. And this is a really good, another good spot for passing if you can set the guy up through that left-hander.
This turned somebody's radio, somebody complaining about a long brake pedal. That was the issue we saw at Baltimore. However, IZOD IndyCar Series race officials allowing them to increase the ducting to those front brakes to assist with that. And the rear brakes as well.
Yeah, it's no fun if you have to pump the brake pedal here on a straight course.
Yeah. It's an issue that many teams had. So settling into a rhythm now, and Scott Dixon has added another half a second to his lead margin. It's now 3.3 seconds. Big storyline behind him is Simona Di Silvestro has never had an IndyCar podium. Look at this mad scrap here. Luca Filippi, who was running as high as second earlier, he's trying to force his way into the top 10. He's fighting, and there's power. There's Will Power. He's stuck behind. Oh, and Dario gets turned around. Did Mike Conway make contact there? It looked like it. Been a tough day for Dario Franchitti. 8 to go. Power on Saavedra. This is outside the top 10.
That's a clear.
Clear pass.
Yeah, Saavedra a lap down to these guys.
Luca Filippi up ahead has had a dynamic day. He's trying to force his way into the top 10 and join the likes of Viso and Bourdais and fight it out over these final 7 laps.
7 to go now, 7 to go, and you got 4 overtakes.
Justin Wilson. Oh, this is Filippi on Kimball. That is for a top 10 spot. It's been a very productive day for the Italian. Just thinking about push to passes, Wally, and Justin Wilson among the front runners. He and Joseph Newgarden boast the most with 6 left that they can utilize over these final 6.5 laps.
The guy sitting in fourth, though, Pagenaud, has none left.
He's a sitting duck for Joseph Newgarden. There's nothing between those guys, about a second on track in these closing laps. There's Pagenaud, there's Newgarden. The Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing, new sponsor for this weekend, and Texas Energy Company Strike, supporting the Indianapolis-based team in a beautiful paint job. You want to see it in the flesh. It is spectacular.
You know, he feels like he owes his team something, too, because he pounded the tire wall, and then he hit the concrete during practice and said, you know, I really feel bad for these guys. I got to do a good job for them today, and that's exactly what he's responded with.
The overwhelming story that we'll all be talking about in 5.5 laps is how the day went either way for the top 2 in the championship. For Helio Castro Neves, a gearbox problem, and that's put him down. He can finish no higher than 18th. And for Scott Dixon, his fortunes finally swung to a positive direction and is out in front by 3.1 seconds.
Well, you guys were talking about Joseph Newgarden and how bad he felt. And Robin, you're exactly right. He told me before he climbed into the car, he said, I owe it to my guys to make up for Friday. They got 4 laps in, and he damaged that beautiful paint job that took 500 man-hours to do. He said, I feel so bad for damaging the paint job, but I know we have a good car. And they're coming off of his career-best second at Baltimore. Once again in the top 5, this kid starting to roll a little bit.
Now, he's good for another year, Robin, isn't he? He's under a 3-year contract with Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing.
And Pagenaud's going to be at Sam Schmidt's for another year. There's a lot of talk about, you know, Penske or Ganassi going after Simon, but he has 1 more year with Sam for sure, and I'm sure Sam wants to lock him up as long as he can.
For our race leader, Scott Dixon, when you look at IndyCar's best and the all-time wins list, there are only names of Unser, Andretti, and Foyt who have more than this man here. What an accomplishment that is for Scott Dixon. He has 32 career victories. He is the highest as far as the active drivers in the series. Nobody has more, not even Dario Franchitti or Helio Castro Neves. Dixon is the #1 active driver. And the next on his list, he's just 2 wins away from catching Al Unser Jr. for 34. If he can hang in for another 4.5 laps. This will be win number 33. There's his wife, Emma Davies-Dixon. And there's been a lot of heartache in that family, for Emma's family. And it's been tough times of late. Been tough times on the track for Scott, but it's turning round, and we're going to get our 7th full course caution, the same as Baltimore. This is Mike Conway, and it was such a positive race for him until it took a U-turn probably about 10-15 laps ago.
Don't have caution yet. Is he going to get that thing restarted? It looks like he's creeping. He's got it running.
Yeah.
Doesn't stall it, taking off will be
as we all wait.
Green.
As we all wait and listen. As we wait and listen. Here's the replay. They'll tell us what happened to Mike.
Yeah, he just locked it up. He locked the right front up a little bit, and there again, if you get offline here just a little bit and get into marbles, you're done.
He was fighting with Marco Andretti for 13th place.
Yeah, I think he stalled it, guys. I don't see him moving. It looked like he had it running there for a minute.
And this is 2.5 laps to go. IndyCar race control will make a decision and say, look, wonder if we just leave him there and finish this thing off. Simona Di Silvestro
I'd say use the button when you need it.
Is handling the pressure from Justin Wilson beautifully. She's got one more push to pass. In fact, she just used one to try and stay ahead of the Englishman. As they stretch their legs up this back straight to a 90-degree left, Simona Di Silvestro is hanging on. Do you remember the opener, the season opener at St. Petersburg, when she was poised for perhaps a podium, but in the closing lap she just died. She dropped position after position, and that went away from. And we go under caution again. We go under caution again with 2.5 laps to run, and that's the reason right there. Mike Conway in the Sonny's Barbecue Dale Coyne entry, unable to get himself going.
Hey, Lee, you talk about Simona. You know, I mean, Danica was fast on big tracks like Indy and Vegas, but Simona's the first female IndyCar driver that's been able to horse a car around on a road course and a street course, and that to me is the biggest difference.
Very impressive.
And very impressive.
Yeah. These street courses are tough racetracks on drivers. I mean, you have so much concentration. You can't make any mistakes. If you get offline just a little bit, you're in the wall or you're in the tires. Physically, they're tough, not to mention the temperatures today.
Sure.
It's just great job.
And look at those unique trophies that our podium getters will receive in the first of 2 races in this doubleheader weekend.
You're referring to the boots.
You know why that's
right.
You know why it's a boot, fellas? Because that's what AJ used to put up some of his crew guys' butts.
Coming to the white flag, Scott Dixon. This was the day he was hoping for. This is the day he was hoping for to really dramatically change his championship look and hopes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of relief in Scott Dixon's helmet right now.
Absolutely.
This is such a swing. It just took one race, and what a swing in points. And now, he doesn't have 49 points to make up now.
8 points from 49 to 8. That's how quickly things can change. The last doubleheader was what got this man into a position to challenge for the championship. And now Dixon is within 8 points of Helio Castroneves on screen. What a tough day it's been for the Brazilian. 49 to 8 is what we'll be talking about at the end of today. Scott Dixon, this is what he needed. Race 2 tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern live here on NBCSN, your home of open wheel racing. Remember Toronto, the 2 NTO? That's what vaulted Scott Dixon into a championship challenging position. He won both races. He almost got a maximum of 108 points. He almost got all of the bonus points. He didn't get pole for race 1. And he walked away with that Sonax bonus $100,000. There's $50,000 on the line this weekend for the driver who can take a clean sweep.
And Castroneves basically has to change the way he's doing things. As far as both these guys for the next 2 races just have to go out and win.
Yep.
That's all they need to worry about, is not The points thing is out the window. They gotta stay out in front of each other.
Wally, you raced at the highest level. I don't care how long you've raced cars. Castroneves, I don't care what anybody tells me about mental toughness and how you're a veteran, you shake it off. This is it. I mean, what are you going to go to bed at night thinking about?
You're not going to go to sleep tonight. Of course, I guarantee you that.
Well, listen, not only is there reason to celebrate if you're a Target, Chip Ganassi or Scott Dixon fan, it's a day to be worried if you're an Helio Castroneves fan. But for an open-wheel racing fans, it's reason to celebrate for car number 78. Simona Di Silvestro, the 25-year-old Swiss female driver. This is her highest career accomplishment. She's never stood on an IndyCar podium. Her teammate won the Indy 500 this year. But today, in addition to Dixon, is Simona's day. They will be celebrating. Good crowd on hand here at Reliant Park Stadium. Dixon wins his 4th of the year and the first of this Texas doubleheader.
Good job, boys. That's what we needed. Makes it a little more interesting now.
Indeed it will. A Dixon, Di Silvestro, Wilson podium. Let's go to the Ganassi camp.
And Mike, we've talked so much about
in the Shell and Pennzoil Grand Prix of Houston doubleheader weekend here in Texas, and boy, has there been a massive swing in points. Castroneves had 49 markers lead coming into today's race. Dixon has shaved that to 8, and all of a sudden Simon Pagenaud is only 50 out. This championship is well and truly alive with only 2 races left. I said we were going to balance the equation. We've heard from all of those celebrating. Now let's hear from the man who had a really tough day. Jan is with Castroneves.
And of course the
Super Tex, AJ Foyt here in Houston. More to come.
Really good day for Dixon, Di Silvestro and Wilson, but a very productive day for Simon Pagenaud. He's with Kevin.
Well, let's see.